Greetings. Hi, my name is Rupert Richardson. That's my English name. My family is Kwakwaka'wakw, Nuxalk, and Chippewa. Nugwa Tuk. I am the one who throws their property down on the beach. That's a name that comes from my great-grandpa Louis Nelson of the Kwakwaka'wakw, Guskimukw Nation, where I'm a registered band member. I also have the name Sninick, which belonged to my great-great-great-grandpa from the Nuxalk Nation. The first one in our family to have an English name. It means supernatural hands. And it relates to my first job. I was a dishwasher. I've had many other jobs since then. I also have a name, Myingan. It comes from where my father's from. It's Chippewa in Wisconsin. And I was about 30 years old when I was in my 30s when I had received the name Myingan. And it was the first traditional name that I had. And I've had the other one since and some others as well. And because I was older in life when I had gotten that name, the reason for that is due to something we're going to talk a little bit about, colonization. So what colonization is, it's something that's impacted Indigenous peoples around the world. I'm going to share with you how it's impacted my life and what I've done since to help myself move and to heal from the colonization. So historically, our people, Indigenous peoples in what some folks call Turtle Island, also people call it Indian country, also known as North America. Colonization, the Canadian government created a piece of legislation called the Indian Act, and it impacted every aspect of our people's way of life. It disconnected us from our traditional territories through the reserve system. We needed a pass to leave the reserve. Non-Indigenous peoples needed a pass to be on the reserve. It impacted our names. So many of our names began to change. We had biblical names, John's, Peter's, Paul's. Some places they have colors, Celtic nation, there's many whites, greens, browns. Other places they have last name as first names, Joe's, Charlie's, John, Bob's. Things along those lines. So our names begin to shift. Our forms of governance begin to shift. We no longer have our traditional forms. We have something called chief and council. Many of those have begun to move back to our traditional forms of governance. Some of them are a blend of governance. Other things that have been impacted. There was a ceremonial ban for 75 years. It was against the law for our people to gather in groups of more than 2 or 3. It was against the law for our people to go to university, to fight in wars. So many of our things began to shift. And one of the biggest impacts is residential schools, which went on for about 150 years. People go to these schools, they don't know who they are when they leave the school. They don't speak their languages anymore. They forget their family ties. They forget their connection to all of creation. And they begin to have a distorted sense of identity. And I didn't go to residential school, but I have many family members who did. And as a result of that, I had a lot of healing to do through the colonial traumas. And that's just a little glimpse of some of the other legislations that have come into play. There was something called the 60s Scoop, where children were forcibly taken and put into non-Indigenous homes, sometimes outside of the country even. And it's the same kind of result as what happens with the residential school. They don't know their creation history or creation stories. They don't know their familial ties. They don't know their connection to who they are and where they come from. And what I want to share with you today is a little bit of what's helped me in my life to get reconnected, to know who I am and to where I'm come from. I still have a long ways to go on my healing journey. And I'm really grateful to be able to share a little bit about what's helped me, what's helped my family. And it's also created a larger family. And I'll share a little bit more about that when I talk about what we're going to share here is about the drum and about storytelling. My uncle Shane told me, nephew, you don't use the word story anymore when talking about our creation histories. He says, nephew, you use the word story, I'm going to punch you. So I don't want to get punched by Uncle Shane again, so I'm going to say creation history. And I want you to think, what does a story make you think about versus a history? Creation story, sometimes people think it could be made up. But for our people, that's our anchor, our foundation to who we are and where we come from. So we're going to start there.